the second law, that is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020. Basically, this is a central law on contract farming. We have discussed that earlier there was a model law on contract farming. Now this is not a model law, it is a central law. Try to understand the main aim of this law is to legalize contract farming in India. Okay. So this law provides a framework for the protection and empowerment of farmers with reference to sale and purchase of farm products under the contract farming. Now one interesting point about this law is, this law will override all state APMC laws. We already discussed about state APMC laws, okay. This central law on contracting farming, the provisions of this law can override all the state APMC laws. Now, we will see what are the major features of this central law on contract farming. First feature is regarding the farming agreement, okay. Try to understand, in contract farming, there will be an agreement between the producer, here it is farmer, and the buyer, okay. So regarding this farming agreement, the law provides for a farming agreement, okay. So this agreement, this contract has to be prior, okay, this is very important point. This agreement has to be prior to the production, okay. So farming agreement has to be prior to the production or rearing of any produce, farm produce, okay. So agreement or the contract have to be signed before the production or rearing of any farm produce, aimed at facilitating farmers in selling farm produce to sponsors, okay. So this is the word being used in this law. The word used for buyers is sponsors, okay. So under this agreement, contract farming agreement, or under this contract farming law, there will be a prior agreement, written agreement between the farmer and the buyer. The law says them as sponsor. So sponsor can be, the buyer can be any individual, a partnership firm, a company, a limited liability group, and even society. Sponsor or buyer can be anyone. Now, when this agreement is signed or is signed between the farmer and the sponsor, such agreement, so this agreement can be between it can be between a farmer and a sponsor. So this farming agreement can be between a farmer and sponsor, or it can be between a farmer, a sponsor, and a third party. So third party can be involved in this farming agreement, okay. So regarding the role and service of any third party, including aggregators, middlemen involved, will have to be explicitly mentioned in the agreement. What is the role of the third party should be explicitly mentioned in the farming agreement, okay. Now, in relation to this central law says that the state government may, there is a provision for the state government to establish a registration authority to provide for the electronic registry of farming agreements, okay. This is a very good suggestion, okay. All the farming agreements have to be registered and it has to be electronically stored. So this can address one of the fear of who will be the buyer, or the background of the buyer or the sponsor can be checked if the state government is creating a particular registration authority, okay. So this has been provided in this farming agreement in this central law. And also this farming agreement also provide for mutually agreed terms and conditions in relation to supply, regarding the supply of produce, regarding the quality, regarding the standards of the farm produce, regarding the price, okay. So a mutually agreed terms and conditions can be applied for the supply of farm produce, quality of farm produce, standards and price of farm produce, as well as the terms related to if any farm related service is being provided, that also can be included, okay. Regarding the terms and conditions, these terms and conditions are subject to monitoring and certification. This terms and condition regarding the quality, supply standards and prices, etc. are subject to monitoring and certification during the process of cultivation or at the time of delivery. Okay, this standards or this agreement regarding the standards, quality can be monitored and certified either at the time of delivery or during the process of cultivation. This agreement can also may be linked. Okay, this farming agreement may be linked. This is very, very, very important. Okay, one of the problem related with the agricultural sector is now. Okay, one important point you should note down is that, okay, nearly 85% of the farmers in India are small and marginal farmers. And for them, getting institutional credit, that is credit from bank, etc. or financial institutions are very difficult. Okay, but once this contract comes into picture, they will be having a written agreement, a formal written legal agreement. Okay, so this farming agreement can be linked with insurance for their farm produce as well as or credit instruments, that is in relation to giving loan, okay, or getting loan either under the central government or under the state government or any financial service provider. Financial service provider can be any banks, financial institutions, microfinance institutions, etc. Okay, so this farming agreement can be used to link both for insurance and getting credit facility, that is loan facility. So by linking the farming agreement, so there is a provision, these are the provisions which can be used by the farmer under this contract farming agreement. Okay, this agreement can be used to link with insurance as well as credit facility. So this will help the farmer to ensure risk mitigation. So any potential risk related with farming can be ensured through insurance, as well as they will get credit flow to farmers. So if the farmers or the sponsors require loan or credit, they can use this farming agreement, and this farming agreement can be a legal document to get loan both for the farmer as well as to the buyer, that is here the sponsor. The law, this is very, 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 very important, this law. So many concerns regarding whether this buyer or the sponsor taking over the farmer's land is removed with this law. It clearly says that this law clearly prohibits sponsors, that is the buyer, from acquiring ownership rights or making permanent modification on a farmer's land or premises under the farming agreement. So nowhere under the farming agreement the sponsor can have a permanent hold over the land. Okay, so they cannot acquire the ownership right of land, or they cannot make any permanent modification, or they cannot write under this farming agreement or contract farming agreement. Okay, so this is regarding the farm agreement. Then regarding this law also clearly mentioned about regarding the duration of agreement. Okay, what should be the duration for this farming agreement? Okay, so it is mentioning the minimum period of the farming agreement as well as the maximum period. Minimum period will be one crop season. Okay, the minimum period for this farming agreement is one crop season in the case of crop, or one production cycle for livestock. If it is this farming agreement is for livestock, one production cycle, or in the case of crop, one crop season. So the minimum period is one crop season or one production cycle of the livestock. The maximum period is for the farming agreement, maximum period under the farming agreement is for 5 years. So no contract agreement will be allowed beyond the 5 years. So the maximum period for this validity of this farming agreement is for 5 years. For production cycle beyond 5 years, so any livestock which is having a production cycle beyond 5 years, the maximum period for the agreement will be mutually decided by the, so if it is any production cycle is beyond 5 years, the maximum period can be decided mutually by the farmer and the sponsor. So second feature of this law is regarding the duration of agreement. So this can be asked for your prelims also, not only for your mains. It can be useful for your prelims. Okay, they can ask the features of these laws. Okay, then exemptions. Okay, exemptions from existing laws. The contract farming law is saying that, okay, farming produce, okay, the farm products under the farming agreement, the agricultural products under the farming agreement will be exempted from all the state acts aimed at regulating sale and purchase of farm produce. Okay, so state APMC laws will not be applicable to this farming agreement. The produce will be exempted from, so another important thing, the produce will be exempted from the central law, that is this Essential Commodities Act 1955 is a central law. So this farming agreement will be exempted not only from the state APMC law, it will also be exempted from the central Essential Commodities Act. So basically we will discuss regarding this Essential Commodities Act next. Okay, so the basic aim of this Essential Commodities Act, okay, what this Essential Commodities Act have done, or how it has initially the Essential Commodities Act was created during the food shortage time period in 1950s, but over a period what has happened is that this has created a roadblock for hurdle in private investment in storage facility or warehousing facility, because this law in relation to foodstuffs or agricultural products, it has created a stock limit obligation. If any trader is holding beyond a certain stock limit, there will be penalty under this law. Okay, so this restriction under the Essential Commodities Act regarding stock limit prevented investment in warehouses or in cold storage facilities, etc. So it is clearly says that the contract farming agreement will be exempted from the Essential Commodities Act 1955, so that there will not have, this farming agreement will not have any stock limit obligation. So this is another important point. Now regarding the pricing, okay, so the basic important in the farming agreement is what will be the price of the agricultural produce, because this agreement is signed prior to the production of the farm produce. Okay, so regarding that, the law is clearly mentioning what should be the price of farm produce. It says that the price to be paid for the purchase of a farming produce will be mentioned in the agreement. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, in the agreement itself, the agreement should clearly state what should be the price of the farm produce. In case of prices, in case of those agricultural products where prices are subject to variation, then in those cases the agreement must include, okay, the farming agreement should have a guaranteed price. If there is any, if for certain products if there is any price variation, then the agreement should have a guaranteed price to be paid for such produce, and also a guaranteed price should be there, and also a clear reference for any additional amount over and above the guaranteed price, including bonus or premium. Okay, so in the case, so this is very, very important. In the farming agreement, the price of the agricultural produce have to be mentioned. If it can't be mentioned due to price variations of the product, it should either mention a guaranteed price and additional amount in the form of bonus or premium. So that is mentioned in the law. So this is taking care of the concern of the farmers regarding the pricing. Then the price references have to be maybe linked to the prevailing prices or any other suitable benchmark prices. Okay, so the price references can be linked or maybe linked to the prevailing prices or any other suitable benchmark prices, maybe the mandi prices, that can be benchmark price. So it is an option. Then the method of determining any prices, including guaranteed price and additional amount, will be provided in the farming agreement. Okay, so this is it. So it is this agreement is very clear regarding the pricing agreement, that it should be mentioned whether the price or the guaranteed price or additional amount has to be mentioned in the farming agreement. It is regarding the pricing. Now regarding the delivery and payment, regarding the delivery of farm produce or regarding the payment to the farmer, its law clearly says that the sponsor will be responsible. Okay, it is not the farmer. The sponsor will be responsible for all preparation for the timely acceptance of delivery. So there is no headache for the farmer regarding delivery. It is the responsibility of the sponsor or the buyer to have necessary preparation for the timely acceptance of delivery, and will take delivery within the agreed time. Within the agreed time, the sponsor or the buyer have to take the delivery. In the case of seed production, see, seed production is an area where there is already a proper contract agreement system is there. Okay, so in the case of seed production, the sponsor will pay at least 2/3 of the agreed amount at the time of delivery. So in the case of seed production, at least 2/3 of the amount has to be paid during the delivery itself. The remaining amount for seed production can be paid after due certification within 30 days. So remaining amount for seed productions, for seed farmers, seed producers, at 2/3 will be paid, at least 2/3 will be paid at the time of delivery, remaining will be paid within 30 days due to use with due certification. But for other products, for all other cases, the entire amount must be paid at the time of delivery. Okay, other than for seed products, at least 2/3 have to be paid and the remaining amount after 1 month. But for all other agricultural products, the amount has to be paid at the time of delivery, and a receipt slip must be issued with the details of the sale proceeds. So this is a very, very important thing. This receipt slip can be used, so this will help for the government to know the revenue for the farmer, as well as it will have a proper accounting. Okay, so this is clearly mentioned in the agreement. And regarding how the payment to be made, whether it is direct transfer or check or DD or whatever it is, the state government have the option to prescribe the payment mode. But important thing is that for agricultural products, when the product is delivered to the sponsor, the payment have to be made by the sponsor, except for seed production. Okay, so that is clearly mentioned in the law. Now regarding the dispute settlement, okay, if there is any dispute between the sponsor, if there is any dispute between the sponsor and the producer, that is the farmer, this law is providing a 3-level dispute settlement mechanism. Okay, so a 3-level dispute settlement mechanism is prescribed under this central law. That is, at the lower level there will be a conciliation board will be there. So conciliation board will try to resolve the dispute between the sponsor and the buyer in an amicable way. If it is not resolved by the conciliation board, it will be dealt by the subdivisional magistrate. And above the subdivisional magistrate, there is an appellate authority is there. Normally, it will be the district collector. So the law requires a farming agreement to provide for a conciliation board. Okay, within the farming agreement, a conciliation board has to be provided, as well as a conciliation process for settlement of dispute if there is any dispute arise between the sponsor and the farmer. Regarding this conciliation board, the conciliation board should have a fair and balanced representation of parties to the agreement. Means both the sponsor and the farmer will have equal representation, and a neutral expert will also be there. So the decision of the board, all disputes must be referred to the board for resolution, and if the dispute remain, so normally it should be resolved within a particular time, within 30 days. And if the dispute remains unresolved after 30 days, then the respective party can approach the subdivisional magistrate for resolution. And even I told you above, if the aggrieved party is not satisfied with the SDM decision, he can again appeal to the appellate authority, which is normally the district collector or additional collector. They have a right, an appellate authority is there. against decisions of the SDM. So it's a 3-tier dispute resolution mechanism is there. And both the SDM and the appellate authority they have to dispose a dispute within 30 days. So this is very interesting thing regarding the dispute resolution, okay. Within 30 days, whether it is Constellation Board or SDM or the appellate authority, they have to resolve the dispute within 30 days. The SDM or the appellate authority have the power to impose certain penalties on the party contravening the agreement. However, no action can be taken against the agricultural land of farmer for recovery of any. So whatever happens, the agricultural land of the farmer should not be taken up for any due recovery. The land of the farmer should be protected. So there is a dispute resolution mechanism is there, 3-tier dispute resolution mechanism is there. So basically try to understand, this is one of the criticisms, okay. Normal court, civil courts are not mentioned here in the dispute resolution mechanism. It is basically the district administration. Within the district administration it has to be resolved, and this is one of the criticism of this particular Contract Farming Act. And the recent state laws of Punjab have included civil court to deal with any dispute between the farmer and the sponsor. Now regarding the advantages of this Contract Farming Law, that is the Farmers Agreement on Price Assurance and Farming Service Act 2020. So the most important advantage of this law is that, okay, now we are having a legal framework for contract farming. Earlier we had a model contract farming law, but as I said, okay, it was just a model law. But now it is applicable all over India, and now we have a legal framework for contract farming. We have already discussed. So one advantage is that a legal framework for contract farming is been now established, and we have a proper mechanism to enforce this contract farming. Okay, and this contract farming law would mean the provisions of this law will empower the farming community. Okay, so this law, contract farming law, will empower the farming community by enabling them to come out of the shackles of traders or middlemen or predatory moneylenders. Okay, while discussing the APMC law, we have discussed that, okay, what happens, okay, most of the time this middlemen used to give loan to these small and marginal farmers. So they not only they are not middlemen or trader, they are sometimes money lenders also. So what happened to them is that they don't have no other option but to sell their produce to these money lenders or this middlemen. Okay, so contract farming law now helps them. So with contract farming law in force, this agreement is signed before the harvesting or before the agricultural production season. Okay, and what benefit they get is that since the sponsor may even give them credit in forms of kind like seeds, inputs, other inputs, etc. So this law will empower the farming community so that they will not need to be dependent on money lenders or middlemen. Okay, so that is, in that way it will empower the farmers. And farmers, see, the major concern of Indian farmers is that there is always a price uncertainty is there. Now contract farming ensures that they are ensured an assured price before sowing itself. Before sowing itself, farmers they are sure what price they will get for their product. So in that way, their income is secured. And earlier, market risk in the form of the price risk, okay, was vested with the farmer. Okay, farmer is not sure about what price he will get. But with contract farming law in force, what will happen is that now the sponsor have assured a guaranteed price for them. So the market risk is now not with the farmer, but with the market risk is now transferred to the sponsor. So in that way, it is benefiting the farmer. Now, see, for a sponsor, mostly these sponsors will be a food processing company or a large retailer. So for them, the quality of the produce is very important. Okay, so normally in order to ensure quality product, these sponsors will give farmers high quality seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. Thereby, it will improve their agricultural productivity. So that is other advantage of contract farming law. So based on mains question, you can write as points. Okay. Now this reform, this contract farming law will improve the market linkages. The agricultural supply chain has many market linkages, both forward and backward linkages. So it will improve the market linkages. It will provide access to new technology. That is very important thing. Okay, Indian farmers lack technology, but with contract farming law in force, they will be getting access to new technology. Mainly, it will be provided by the sponsor. It will lead to improved quality of the product, which will in turn lead to a risk-free higher income. It will ensure higher income, risk-free higher income, as well as a better living standard for the farming community. So these are the points you have to write. Okay. And with contract farming law in place and the other law which we discussed, that is in relation to the farmers' produce, okay, trade and commerce law, what will happen is that it will attract more private investment in agriculture. So one of the weaknesses in the Indian agriculture sector is that private investment in agriculture sector is very low, but with these laws in force, it will attract private investment in farming. And also it will link the farm products to global markets. Once, so there will be more surplus with the required standards and quality, and this can improve the standard of a product, and it can capture more export market. So in that way, it will link our agricultural farms to global market also. So these are the points you can mention if they are specific about this. If the question is specifically regarding this contract farming law, you can mention this. Okay. So, when you study for mains, you should know about any particular issue very thoroughly, and it's always good to know if it is something like a law or an initiative or a scheme. You should know the advantages of that scheme or law, and then if there is any criticism or disadvantages, you should know that also, and then you should come up with a proper solution or suggestion or way forward. Okay. Now, regarding the, before discussing the major issues, okay, we will discuss, see, even though officially or legally contract farming law is recently been passed by the parliament, there have been some successful models in contract farming law, okay, especially in the case of seed production, okay. In the case of seed production, okay, already there is a contract farming is happening mainly between the seed corporations. So seed corporations will be the sponsor and the producer farmer, okay. And in the case of seed production, contract farming law is it's quite promising, and it is benefiting the both the producer as well as farmer as well as the sponsor. And one critical example, okay, if you want to elaborate on your answers, okay, you can give the case of seed, because there are many criticisms that these contract farming law will make our agriculture corporate or large corporates will take over Indian agriculture. But you can give some examples like this PepsiCo, okay. In 1989, the Indian government have put a condition for PepsiCo to enter into Indian market. The condition for the PepsiCo to enter into Indian market in 1989, which set by the Indian government, is that they should, the precondition is that the PepsiCo should help farmers to improve crop yield by adopting latest technology. And due to the intervention of PepsiCo, okay, this have entered contract farming, means they went with contract with farmers. And what has happened, especially in relation to tomato, in this PepsiCo have taken tomato processing as a potential activity. Okay, so PepsiCo will focus on this processing, tomato processing, and they will provide necessary support for the farmers to produce the required yield at the global standard level, and it has increased their productivity to a tremendous level. And in that way, tomato processing is one of the advantage, means how this tomato farmers have benefited from this contract farming law with PepsiCo. You can give it as an example. Okay, so this PepsiCo contract farming agreement with the farmers helped in large yield improvement of tomatoes, which in turn help farmers increase their income, if even without increase in the price of tomato. So like in the case of tomato processing, this contract farming law will help in better processing of many agricultural products, as well as it will bring in better yield, higher productivity, and it can even use it, the extra surplus it can use for export also. So you can give this successful model if the question is on specifically on contract farming law. Now regarding the concerns or the issues or disadvantage related with this particular law, contract farming law, is that okay, we have discussed regarding the dispute resolution mechanism. Okay, so in the dispute resolution mechanism there is a conciliation board is there. Above that we have subdivisional magistrate, and above that then arbitration is there. We can appeal to that. Okay, so in that 3-level system we can see that mostly this appellate authority, okay, the highest level appellate authority is mainly headed by the district collector or the additional collector. So basically you can see that this law is not mentioning about the normal civil court. Okay, so that is a concern for the farmer, especially when an issue arises between large company and small and marginal farmers. So they feel that they will be at a disadvantage because they are not allowed to go approach the civil court. So this is one of the concern regarding the dispute resolution mechanism inbuilt in this contract farming law is a fear for the farmer. So that is one of the criticism, that the farmers fear the proposed system of conciliation can be misused against them. They say the law does not allow farmers to approach a civil court. So since it is a criticism, when you criticize a law or a scheme, you should give suggestion also. So recently I told you Punjab State Legislative Assembly as well as Rajasthan State Assembly have passed their respective state law. So in the Punjab state law, it has provided for the farmers to approach the civil court. So it is always good that if wherever it is possible, this dispute has to be amicably settled within that limited 30 days. Okay, because our primary aim is to focus upon the agriculture, to create trust between the sponsor as well as the farmer, and to improve the agricultural productivity so that the farmers produce quality will improve, their income will improve, as well as the sponsors will get assured quality product. So instead of thinking that this can be a problem, we will first ensure that the current dispute mechanism, both the state government as well as the farming community as well as these sponsors should amicably settle it. But in case if it can't be done, there should be a provision that as a last resort, this civil court, they should be whoever is the aggrieved party, they can approach the civil court. So thereby that issue, the fear which the farmers is having can be resolved. Okay. Now another major issue. So this is a common point for any law, whether it is the first law which we discussed, okay, regarding the trade and commerce farmers produce law, or the contract farming law. See, in India, I already said that, okay, in India, nearly 85% of the farmers are small and marginal farmers, okay. Their produce is comparatively very less. So normally, they will be at a disadvantage to deal with the sponsors, okay. So another big concern regarding this or issue regarding this law is that the small and marginal farmers will not have the bargaining power. They don't have the bargaining power to deal with these large corporations or large businessmen as sponsors. Okay, so there's a chance that they may be exploited. It's only a concern. So if there is a concern, so that is another issue regarding this law. So you need to give a suggestion also to address this particular concern. Okay, so So regarding this concern, okay, will the solution to this problem for the small and marginal farmers is that, okay, recently the government is setting up more farmer producer companies or farmer producer organization. So what this farmer producer companies or farm produce organization will do is that many small and marginal farmers will come together and they'll form an organization, farmer producer organization or farmer producer company, and thereby by forming as a group they will be in a better position to bargain with these large corporations. Okay, so in that way we can address that particular concern. Okay, also many as from the sponsor point of view, okay, same thing. Okay, from the sponsor also prefer farmer producer companies, because as a sponsor or as a large sponsors, they are like sponsors can be large corporation, sponsor can be food processing companies or any other processor, or they can be even modern retailers that we have seen, that like Reliance. So there are many modern retailers are there, like many retailers are coming, modern retailers with with larger capacity of agricultural products. Okay, so these sponsors, they are the main sponsors. Okay, they will be normally hesitant to engage with hundreds of small and marginal farmers. Okay, so they also prefer to have a common link. So they prefer a one person or one institution to deal with many small and marginal farmers as an organizer. So they prefer some middleman as an organizer. So that is another issue. So they instead these sponsors don't want to deal with many small and marginal farmers. They want one single man, one organizer. So here also we can give a solution. So sponsors prefer one individual or an organizer to deal with many small and marginal farmers. So the best solution here is that one organizer has to be food processing companies or food processing farmer producer organization. Okay, farmer producer organization will be the best organizer to deal with these large sponsors. Okay, then so farmers also, these points we have already discussed. Okay, this is a concern we are discussing about the issues of this law. Farmers also are nervous about being exploited by large organizations. So these are the issues. One is regarding the dispute settlement. Second is regarding, since most of our farmers are small and marginal farmers, they fear that this large corporation will take over or something like that. But it is law has assured that land cannot be taken over, but they can be, the bargaining power will be less. And also this large sponsor, these sponsors also want to have a single organizer. So all these issues regarding this particular contract farming law can be resolved if these small and marginal farmers come under a single umbrella in the form of farmer producer organization. So you need to give farmer producer organization as a solution or as a way forward to deal with all these issues to address the concerns of small and marginal farmers. Okay, so these issues can be overcome with the help of promoting either farmer producer organization or farmer producing corporation. So this farmer producer organization will mobilize and coordinate small and marginal farmers to benefit and avail the scale of economy in production. This is very, very important. Scale of economy in production is very important. So by organizing together all these small and marginal farmers, the scale of economy in production can be improved, as well as it will be helpful in post-production activities like carrying the produce, etc. Okay. Also, this is another very important suggestion you can make. This farmer producer organization can group together these small land owners into a cooperative. Okay. So this farmer producer organization can be, they can bring together these small and marginal farmers into a cooperative, and they can be given shareholding. The small and marginal farmers will be given a shareholding in this cooperative or in this farmer producer organization in proportion. The shareholding of the farmer will be in proportion to their land holding. Okay. So there will be no dispute at all. So each farmers will be feeling a sense of ownership in this farmer producer organization, and thereby making them into an integral stakeholder in this farmer producer company, which can subsequently enter into this contract with the modern retailers or any sponsors. Okay, so farmer producer organization is the best solution to address many of the concerns being generated in the last few months, okay, regarding this loss. So this FPO, what they will do is, they will improve their bargaining capacity of the farmers, and it will also justify the legal contract being made by the companies. Because companies are now going to invest heavily in technologies as well as in agricultural farm. So by having a legal contract with a larger number of farmers, or with the larger economics of land holding, which the farm producer organization will bring, it will justify the sponsor to make huge investment in technologies and other related investment they will be making it. Okay. So we can say that as a conclusion to this particular topic, we can say that this contract farming law is a win-win for both the farmer as well as the sponsor. Okay. So both farmers and large sponsor or the corporation will benefit, because they are coming together and working as one team. Okay. It will lead to better implementation of in the form of better farm implements, usage of farm implements, high yielding variety seeds. It will bring in efficiencies of scale for marginal farmers. It will increase their income and assure corporation. So these are the benefits for the farmer. Okay, their income will be improved. Okay, there will be efficiency of scale for marginal farmers. But for the sponsor, they are assured of quality, they are assured of quantity, and they will be getting the product on time delivery. So it's a win-win situation both for the farmer as well as the sponsor. So you can say that it is a much needed step or overdue step, giving freedom for the farmer to sell their product directly to the sponsor, whoever it is. The sponsor can be anyone, which we discussed, and thereby promoting competition on the part of the buyers. See, there are many buyers will be there. The sponsors, there will be many buyers will be there. So since now the farmers have the freedom to sell directly to the sponsor, there will be many sponsors will be there. They will be in a competition on part of the buyers, that is the sponsors, to prematurely secure. They want to prematurely secure the farm produce, and so by ensuring competition within the buyers, that is the sponsors, this law will enable farmers to get best price for their produce, and thereby this law, both the laws which we have discussed, will help in doubling the farmer's income. So this is how you have to end a mains answer. Okay, so you have to be very specific. Okay, regarding mains answer writing, you have to be very specific. You have to answer to the demand of the question, and you always have to come with a good conclusion which is positive. Okay.